really canning season, right? Especially water bath canning. You know, it's time to make all your jams and your jellies and can your tomato sauce pretty soon. And I've gotten quite a few different questions on proper canning techniques, and I thought I'd share the questions and my answers with you. So here goes. The question is, how do you store your canning rings? Well, I've tried various things, but for me, this works best. See it? And what this is a casino thing. Your card usually goes here from a casino, gambling casino, and this goes through here. But it's stretchy, it works great. Now you could use a bungee cord too, but hey, these are free at a casino, so all you have to stop by, and of course nothing's free at a casino because you probably put some money in a machine and this might cost you quite a bit. But anyway, this really works for me for storing it. I have this one for the larger lids, and then I have another one for the small lids. Can I stack jars? Yes, you can. In my storage downstairs, I have kind of narrow shelves, so I put cardboard on top of the first layer and I store another layer. Now, is there a danger with that? Well, it could give you a false seal because of the pressure on top, but I've never had that problem. So other people store their cans right in the carton, you know, that you buy the mason jars in, and they might put 2 or 3 on top. Whatever works, but you always want to check and make sure you have a good seal. So let's see. Do I need to sterilize jars before canning? Well, not as long as you are putting your canned product in the boiling water bath for at least 10 minutes. And if you're doing it in a pressure cooker, no, not at all. But you want to have a clean jar, and usually you're putting hot stuff into the jar, so it's not a bad idea to have the jars warmed up in your dishwasher or in another kettle with hot water. So you're putting hot stuff in a hot jar, because sometimes if you put hot stuff in a cold jar, it could crack. Okay, more about the rings. Can I leave rings on my jars when I store them? Well, you know, you can. I don't do that because sometimes the rings get a little rusty and they can be hard to get off the jar. And of course, again, you have to worry about a fake seal. But if you would take the ring off and, you know, if you can lift it with your fingernail, you know you've got a bad seal. So yes, you can, but I don't recommend it. Do I need to preheat my lids? They say that is no longer necessary. I do put them in warm, you know, simmering water while I'm getting ready to can, mainly out of habit, but generally I always have a seal, so superstition, I'll keep on doing that. But they say you do not. Now here's one. Does canned food last only a year? You know, that's what they recommend. Basically, that's more for inventory. You should be inventorying out your canned goods every year. But in reality, as long as it was canned properly, you have a good seal, it can keep a long, long time, as long as it's kept at the right temperature and in a dark space. So what can happen though is you can lose food quality. Sometimes things darken or get cloudy, and you may lose some nutritional benefits. But yes, everything except I think lemon curd, I think that's only like 3 months or something like that. Can you keep it canned? But anything else can last longer than a year. Does headspace really matter? Yes, it does. If a recipe says leave an inch of headspace, leave an inch. If it says a ½ inch, leave a ½ inch. What can happen is if you don't leave enough, the food can actually boil up, touch the lid, and you can have problems with your seal. And if you have too much, you can have problems with your vacuum and your seal. So always follow the Headspace recommendations, but don't worry if you started out, like let's say with an inch headspace, and you end up with maybe only 3/4 of an inch after canning. Food can expand, and that is fine. What's the best way to store my canned goods? The best way is in a cool, dark space. So you want, when I say cool, between 50 and 70 degrees. And for a lot of us, we have that in our basement. Some people have it in their root cellar, wherever. But don't store it in your attic, next to a furnace, anything that can get hot. Because hotter temperatures, the food can spoil rather quick. So how do I know if my jar really sealed? Well, 24 hours after you've canned it, taken it out of the canner, take off the ring, and then inspect the top. And it should go in just a little. You don't want to put too much pressure on it because that can give you a false seal, but it should go in. Now I am able to pick up my jar by just the lid. I mean, that proves that it really is vacuum sealed. But part of it is you can do it by touch, by eyesight to see that little indentation, and then you know you have a proper sealed jar. What do I do if one of my jars didn't seal when I was canning? Well, you want to take off your lid and your ring and take a wet cloth around the edge and feel, are there any cracks, any indents, anything that would cause it not to seal? If so, you want to pour the contents into another jar. And you may have to reheat it depending on the recipe. And then put on a fresh lid and process it for the time in your recipe, and hopefully you'll have a good seal. If it still doesn't seal, then you can put it in the refrigerator to eat, in the next week or two, or you can actually freeze it instead of putting it on your canning shelves. I hope you found this Q&A helpful, and it's the start of summer canning season, so I'm sure a lot of you are going to be busy in your kitchen, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope all your jars seal. This is Prepper Potpourri saying please subscribe, share the knowledge, and thumbs up if you like this video.